Test, test. Yes? All good. Anybody else ready for Shabbos? Oh, yes. Bring it on. Hey, Ben, you got any good friends? I need another chord. Nobody's singing with me. Now this is the TGIF part. Ready? A little faster. Yum ba-da-dum ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Spring in your step. Yum ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yay! Yum ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Shabbat shalom. Okay, you can tell it's after Labor Day. People are back. It's great to see you. So, thank you so much, Laura, for being here, our representative from the board. Yes, could you come on up and offer us the reading on page 3, whichever one, the top or the bottom one, which is speaking to your heart tonight, and read us, then light the candles.
Okay. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter the sanctuary in need, all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Blessings on page 2. Don't worry about it. I got that. You just light the candles. Sometimes they're really finicky. Oh, you've got away with them. No, it's great. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Good Shabbos, thank you. Good to see you too. I know, I feel like talking to it like my dog. Stay. Good Shabbos. It's great to see everybody. So, let's, oh, there it is. Bring a little sweetness to the day with Kiddush. Page 5. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon
Hinhilanu
zikaron lemahaseh
Bereshit
ki hu yom techila
Lemikra Kodesh Zecher Litziat Mitzrayim Kivanu lacharta Ve'otanu kidashta Mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uratzon inchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
Okay, so let's before we welcome the angels, let's welcome one another. I know for a fact there's at least 1 or 2 people in here that doesn't know everybody's name. I should say there's going to be a quiz later, so make sure you stand up and introduce yourself to somebody that you haven't seen in a while or that you don't know. Make a new friend. Wave hello to everybody there in YouTube land. Hi, Mom. My mother from Switzerland watches me on like Tuesday. Or on Shabbat, maybe on Shabbat morning. I don't know. It's like 2 in the morning for her right now. Everybody wave hello to my mother. Wave hi to my mom and everybody else in YouTube land. And then on page 24 is Shalom Aleichem. We ask that these angels that accompany that extra soul on Shabbat, they come, they bless us, and then they go, knowing, please God, thank God, that they'll be back next Shabbos.
Shalom Aleichem, Malchei HaSharei, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu,
Bochem l'shalom,
Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu,
Baruch Hu
Nir Shalom, Malchei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon,
Melech Malachei Hamlachim,
Kadosh Baruch Hu,
Zetchem l'shalom,
Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Oh, I need this just as much as we all do. This time, when we recognize how much our body holds from the week and the work and the worry and the rushing and how tied up in knots. So let's put our feet flat on the floor. Feel the weight of our tuchus in our seats. Scan our body for those knots. Send them breath. Send them some of those blessings of shalom. Allow the air to flow. Feel them supple again. Let them move in places and ways that they've been confined and restricted. Remind them of all the different ways. Ana b'choach, gedulat yamincha, tatir yitzura. Oh God, with your strength, untie our knots. Untie them. Let it flow freely.
Dulat yamincha,
One more time.
Ana b'koach,
Dulat yamincha, tatir tzerura. Page 16, Zamru.
Zamru Adonai
Bechinot,
Bechinot Zimra,
Bechatzotzrot, Bekol Shofar. Hariu lifnei HaMelech Adonai. Yiram hayam umlo. Tevel veyoshveva. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz yishpot tevel betzedek ve'amim b'meisharim Iram hayamum lo tevel ve'yoshveva neharot imcha uchav yachad harim yeranenu. Yes, thank you. We're transitioning to joy. I'm going to invite you to please put your finger in page 44. Turn to page 13. Yismechu hashamayim.
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim.
Hashamayim,
Yismechu hashamayim. V'tagel haaretz. Again.
Yismechu Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, Hashamayim, Yismechu Hashamayim, V'tagel haaretz. Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Umelo, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Yiram hayam, Umelo.
44 at the bottom. And no, this isn't from Fiddler on the Roof, but I know I always hear it. And I think, oh, we're going to go into
If I were a rich man,
but it's not.
Yismechu,
It is.
Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, Koreh oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat.
Koreh oneg Shabbat. Mekadeshei, Mekadeshei Shvi Shabbat. Kulam yisbehu, vayitangu metuvecha Shabbat.
Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat, Koreh oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat.
Koreh oneg Shabbat. Ve'hashvihi ratzita bo v'kiddushto Shabbat. Femdad yamim v'tokarata Shabbat.
Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat.
Koreh oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha.
Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat.
Koreh oneg Shabbat. Zeh L'maseh b'reshit Shabbat. Zeh L'maseh b'reshit Shabbat.
Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat.
Koreh oneg Shabbat. Yismechu b'malachutecha, Shomrei, Shomrei, Shomrei Shabbat. Oh, we call it a delight. The Koreh warmed up for the wedding. We're greeting the bride. Lechado D, page 20. We're going to do verses 1, 2, 5, and 9. 9, 9.
Lechadodi lekrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lechadodi lekrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Shamor zachor bedibo echad hishmiyanu el hamyuchad Adonai echad ushmo echad Shemo tiferet ve'letchila lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela
Lekrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha ki mekor haberacha merosh mikedem nesucha toch maaseh b'machshavatila
lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela hitorari kiva orech kumi ori uri shedaberi kvod Adonai Allah lech nigla lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise if you're able and greet the bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala gam besimcha uvetzola toch emunei am segula boi chala
lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela lechadodi lekrakala pene Shabbat nekabela.
Please remain standing if you're able for the Baruch Hu, page 28. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Please be seated and the handout. If you don't have a handout, wave your hands so that somebody can pass you one. Thank you. Sacred words, even the evenings. Wisdom opens gates locked around our hearts. Shebidvaro mahari varaviv v'chochma poteach she'arim. Evening, the evening, the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv, Araviv, Amen. Understanding changes with the times, changing seasons, cycles divine. Uvit na meshane iti umachalif et hazmani.
Evening,
The evening,
evening,
the frayed edges of our lives. Mari Aravi, Amen. Paint diamonds on the canvas called sky. Soothe our souls with a lilting lullaby. Umesaderet hakochavim, mishmorotehem brakia kirtzono. Evening, the evening, the frayed edges of our lives. Mahari Arabi. Rolling into the night, rolling away the light. Golel or mipnei Hoshem, golel shek mipnei or.
evening, the evening, the frayed edges of our lives. Mariv, Aravim, Amen.
Spirit of the night, we bless your name. Eternal light, eternal flame. El Chai v'Kayam tamid yimloch aleinu le'olam va'ed.
Evening, the evening, the frayed edges of our lives.
Mari Aravi. Amen. Page 32.
Avat olam bet Yisrael amcha ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu lemadeta Al ken Adonai Eloheinu shachbenu vekumenu נצליח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגה יומם בלילה.
ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Amen.
Page 34. Shema Yisrael,
Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך Hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha, v'dibarta bam, v'shivtecha bevetecha, uvlechtecha v'derech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, uvshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot beinenecha,
וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen. Please, let's read together on page 37 in the English. Love your God with every heartbeat, with every breath, with every conscious act. Keep in mind the words I command you today. Teach them to your children. Talk about them at work. Whether you're tired or you're rested, let them guide the work of your hands. Keep them in the forefront of your vision. Do not leave them at the doorway of your house or outside your gate. They are reminders to do all of my mitzvot so that you can be holy for God. I am Adonai, your God. I led you out of Egypt to become your God. I am Adonai, your God. All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us, that you alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. And they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously, singing, Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, who could possibly be like you? Page 40, Mi chamocha.
מיכה מוכה באלים אדוני, מיכה מוכה נדר בקודש, נורא נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע הים לפני משה מרים.
Adonai,
זה לי
Adonai,
עליהם ענו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. לי 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 ונאמר כי פרנאי את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. Page 43.
And understanding among us, let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Again.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's
So
storms.
we're going to keep singing that, okay? Let there be love and
Adonai
understanding among us.
Eloheinu,
Let peace and friendship be our
Shalom. Hashkivenu,
and
Adonai Eloheinu.
Let peace and friendship
Leheinu,
be
Lia
our
Shalom.
shelter.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
Invite us to rise, the Amidah, standing prayer, our private audience. Whew. The sovereign. Open my eyes to truth. Open my hands to give freely. Open my lips to good words, to pure words.
Open my heart to love.
Adonai Sfatai Tiftach, Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Open my lips to good words, to pure words.
Open my heart to love.
Page 48. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah. האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ועוד, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי המתים אתה רב להושיע. מוריד אתה, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו, משנה יפה. מי כמוך בגבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממיל ומקיים, ומצמיח ישועה. נאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. Please take the time you need to pray either the text between pages 54 and 60 or the text of your heart. And feel free to take a seat when you feel you've said what you need to say. יודעים אנחנו לך שאתה אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהינו. At the bottom.
Oh, say shalom bimromav. Uya say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. V'imru
Oh, say shalom bimromav. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Amen. Yam pararam pam pam pam, pararam pam pam, yararam pam pararam pam, yarara yarara yarara, yam pararam pam pam pam, yarara 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 yarara. Oh, say shalom bimromav.
Uya say shalom aleinu.
Ve'al kol Yisrael. Ve'al kol yoshvei tevel. Ve'imru Amen. Yam pararam pam pam pam, pararam pam pam, yararam pam pararam pam, yarara yam tararam pam pam pam, pararam pam pam, yararam pam pararam pam, yarara ta 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 vehimru. Let's read on page 61 together, the top. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. And may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. And please, God, also healing. There's a lot of hurting. A lot of people who are hurting, a lot of healing we need to bring down and spread around. Page 253. We'll pause in between the stanzas.
Mi sheberach avotenu mekor habracha v'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing. And let us say, Amen.
This week we're especially praying for Millie Rottenberg, Howard Simon, Gloria Berkowitz, Gittel Bat Chana, Bernice Portney, Beryl Ben Sima Vishmuel Leib, Steve Gellis, Sholem Avram Ben Golda Yeshayahu, Michael Rosenblum, Harav Miriam Yael Chaya Bat Sarah Yitzchak, Maxwell Zwain Menachem Mendel Ben Yehuditu Michael, Dr. Isokan Osemwota, Alan Mentha, Alon Ben Yael Perel, Eric Ribchin, Rhoda Alaribe, Luke Wright, Kendall Chaya Rafaela Yehudit Sharon, Kathy Gale, Dolores McKell, and to these names we add
Cookie Sam. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shelema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit. Let us say, Amen.
may they know healing and wholeness speedily, uneventfully. And bless those who care for them as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
So great to see people not on screens. You're like this big and now you're in full size. So this is about the time of year when we start to offering those traditional New Year greetings, right? Does anybody know some of the phrases that we say either in English or Hebrew? Call them out. What do we say this time of year? Shana Tova, yes, that means Shana is year and Tova is good, so it's to a good year or Happy New Year, colloquially speaking. Any others that you know either in English or in Hebrew that you've heard? A little louder. Chag Sameach is always a good one. That's, Chag is the festival or the holiday. Sameach is joy. That's always a good all-purpose one, yes? Anybody here, may you be inscribed for a good year? Yes, that's the one. And that's actually what I want to talk to you about this evening. And we've got some nice texts. I think we're going to have some fun. I think it's fun, but anyway. So maybe we've even sung this, right? Lishana tova tikatevu, Lishana tova tikatevu. So that's actually the melody of the high holidays, and that the Shana Tova is to a good year. Tikatevu, you should be inscribed, or you should be written for a good year. But then actually it changes between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And for that time, in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and all throughout Yom Kippur, the greeting changes. Anybody remember what that one is? It's Gemar Chatima Tova, or a quickie, Gemar Tov, right? So what's that? Gemar is finished or completed, right? Chatima is sealed, like you seal up a package or a sealing, okay? And Tova is good. So literally that's saying, may you end up being sealed for a good year. May you be sealed up, signed, sealed, delivered for goodness for the next coming year. And that's what we say. So you should be written for goodness leading up to Rosh Hashanah, and then you should be sealed for goodness leading up to Yom Kippur. And this is one of the actual central images of the high holidays, is this book of life, or this book of death. And so if you are looking at the greeting cards or reading the prayers carefully, you see that this is an image that comes up over and over again. And I brought some texts because we're going to unpack this. Because what we're looking for, right, in these greetings, for ourselves, of course, also, in the Teshuvah work that we're doing, is that we should be written and sealed for goodness into the book of life. Now, over the years, I've come to really love and cherish these texts and the imagery that they have on my own personal Elul and Teshuvah journeys. And I also want to acknowledge that while I find them really beautiful and meaningful, I want to acknowledge that they can be very difficult to encounter and complicated, especially at least initially, especially if sort of taken on their literal face value. And it's my hope that tonight this conversation actually expands and deepens how you might think about these images of the book of life and even the book of not life, and it guides you on your journey over these weeks. So I have, as I promised, every week for the month of Elul, texts that we're going to look at. And so I love that when I get close to my ambitious total. And I invite anybody to look at it to find the 2 mistakes on the very first line. If anybody can find the mistakes, you get extra Rosh Hashanah brownie points. I won't explain why Anybody see anything wrong on the first line yet? No, actually, this year is 5782. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's the first mistake, okay? And the second one is that Parshat Nitzavim is actually in 2 weeks. This week is actually Parshat Kitetse, but we're not talking about the Parsha, so whatever. I was looking at the calendar. I was thinking about what I was going to do in 2 weeks in Nitzavim, and that's what I typed. Anyhow, so the first text is a Talmudic text, which means it's a solid 1,500 years old. And it muses about what the spiritual impact is of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. Somebody want to read, come up, and for the benefit of those in YouTube land, want to read the first text? Can somebody come up and read that? Come on, it's English. Please, come on up. Yes. All right, you'll do the second one, okay? Good. Thank you.
Said Rabbi
Kruspedai.
thank you, in the name of Rabbi Yohanan, 3 books are open on Rosh Hashanah, 1 for the holy righteous, 1 for the holy wicked, and 1 for the intermediates.
The Beinonim.
Beinonim. The holy righteous are at once inscribed and sealed in the book of life. The holy wicked are at once inscribed and sealed in the book of death. And the intermediates are held suspended from Rosh Hashanah until Yom Kippur. If they are found worthy, they are inscribed for life. If found unworthy, they are inscribed for death. Talmud Bavil Rosh Hashanah.
Thank you. There's a typo. Great, thank you. So,
are some of the questions that come out at you from that text? I'm seeing like heads shaking, like, where do we begin? So there's a lot of them. What comes out at you? A line from a song. Somewhere between the right and the wrong is where I belong. Oh, interesting. Deborah, exactly, right? So who among us, who among the entire world is totally righteous or totally wicked? When I think who's totally righteous, who can I think is like a little baby who's never had a chance to do anything wrong? I mean, I don't know. And maybe how do we determine this, right? What makes us worthy? Is there any recourse, right? Can you take it to the next court of appeals? I mean, who's listening? Who's judging? And where are we all thinking? It's like, where do I fit in on this, right? Anybody else always felt like you were the wicked child at the Passover Seder? I mean, I was convinced that I knew I was the wicked child, right? So it's like, where am I, right? So I want to throw this out here, right? If we don't think that there's this giant library in the heavenly realms that contains billions upon billions of old dusty books, is there a way that we might understand these books in a way that doesn't suspend reality? Keeping in mind that these books are written with our deeds. What do you think? Our truth. Is it our own subjective truth, or is it some kind of objective truth? So plug that into the books. So the reverberations of what you do and how it impacts your own inner life. And okay, beautiful. Seth. Right. Yeah, so we're looking back at ourselves and our deeds. That's the challenge of this month of Elul, for sure, right? I'd like to sort of turn this around a little bit. So can we look at, or not even turn it around, but shine another light in this prism, right? Can we look at these books as the impact of everything that we've done and everything that we've said throughout this last year, and understand that on some objective level that it's impossible for us to completely understand, but each and everything that we've done has a real impact and makes a real consequence, either good or bad, and can be traced back to a moment, a word, or an action. Has anybody ever had a situation where somebody has said, I'll never forget when you said this, and you have no recollection of it whatsoever? Right? So whether or not we're sitting with it in our own subjective place, it's put out there into the world, right? So I'd like to also suggest that in addition to these ideas, that our words, our deeds, kind of like karma, they reverberate into the world, and sometimes they come back to us. Sometimes we know they come back to us, right? You say something to somebody and you get an immediate reaction. Maybe not. But I'd like to suggest that one way to look at these books is, and sometimes I joke and say it's not necessarily the book that we write with our deeds, but it's God's surveillance tape, right? We can't imagine that something is actually being written down and taking dictation with every word and every deed, but we could imagine a world in which everything that we do or say on some level is being picked up on some satellite, right? That is there. Okay, so I want to take a look at text 2 and look, and this one is more about how these books function and affect us over the holidays. So I don't know your name yet. Can you come up and read text 2 and tell us your name? Who are you? Ah, we've written. Yeah, we've emailed. Wonderful. Ramathia? Welcome.
Thank you.
Good. Read us text 2.
Okay.
The Beinonim, that's how you pronounce that word.
It is true that you are the judge and plaintiff. Counselor.
Wait, text 2?
Is that 2? Here.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to do that. I forgot to move. Read the third one, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. The Benonim are given the 10 days of repentance between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. If they did teshuvah, they are written with the righteous. If not, they are written with the wicked.
Thank you.
Rambam Hilchot Teshuvah.
Yes, Rambam, he's about 1,000 years old. So what are some of the questions that this text might address? Say that again, Erwin? Forgiveness. How to get forgiveness. Yeah, how to get that clean slate, right? What is it that we have to do to get into that book of life? Forgive yourself, forgive others, right? Sort of try to make it right, right? To do this teshuvah, right? So this is saying, okay, you want to get written into the book of life, right? This is what you have to do. You have to do this teshuvah process. That's what we've been talking about for this last couple of weeks. Yeah, of course. And the sages say that we have until the sun goes down on Yom Kippur Day, Ne'ilah, Ne'ilah is the closing of the gates. Some, the Hasidic sources say we get an extra week, and it actually doesn't close until Shmini Atzeret. But what it does, though, if you look at this text, right, this is giving us an idea of the power of these 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. They're actually called the Aseret Yamei Tshuva. Aseret is 10, Yamei is days of Tshuva. So it's actually saying that what we do between these days is actually having an impact on the outcome of the next year for us. It's interesting that our sources actually also say that Yom Kippur has an independent, objective power of its very own. Doesn't matter if we do something or we don't do something, there's a power of that day for atonement. The day itself has a power. This is in contradistinction to Shabbat, which has its own power, but its power is dependent upon what we do on Shabbat or how we observe it. But Yom Kippur, in and of itself, has its own power. Text 3. And text 3 is the one that says each person, which is actually text 4. I should have moved text 2 to become text 4. So can somebody read text 2? No. Each person. That's text 4. Laura, can you read? Thank you. Text 4.
Each person must view himself and the entire world as being a Benoni, i.e., half meritorious and half guilty. If he does a single mitzvah, he can tip the scale and bring redemption and salvation to the entire world.
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
I love that. What does this add to the equation? What is this whole idea of that everybody's got to look at both who we are and the entire world, that like the next thing that we do has the potential to tilt the entire world. What are some of the implications of this text? It's what? Yeah. We're all interconnected. Tikkun, it puts us smack dab in the middle of having the power to make a difference and being part of the healing. Absolutely. Other ideas of the implications of this text? Yes. Right. The Chassid would say, even the most wicked person, you'll find some bit of good, something his mother or her mother saw in him. Yeah, but yes, so everybody's got at least some good. And on the other side has got a little bit of that wicked too, which is sort of what Deborah started off by saying. It's like we're all, like who's entirely righteous and who's entirely wicked. Yeah, Laura. Yeah, beautiful. And it's a great image too, like the scales of justice, right? Just you blow on it, and one little thing can tilt that scale. It's a fabulous image. Wonderful. Other ideas of anything that comes to you from this text? Yeah. Yes. Right. It's great if you can give somebody a hospital $1 billion and cure cancer, but the little things, every little thing matters. It's true. It's true. So it's hopeful, isn't it? You have something you wanted to add, Deborah? You've got this look like, okay. Who among us doesn't have both moments of goodness and moments that we really mess up? This is hopeful, right? What I think this text really says is that in this process, each and every one of us is redeemable. It's in our hands in any given moment to tip that scale, as Laura pointed out, right? Our own scale, right, towards life, towards change, towards transformation, towards being more aligned with who we are or who we want to be, and the scale of the world. They're one in they're one and the same. They're interconnected. Right? So I just think this is so amazing, right? And we're all kind of in this Benoni, right? Nobody's, or very few people, I don't know any, maybe you do, either one, or the other. Finally we're getting to the Unatana Tokef from number 2. And so if you know one prayer from the High Holy Days, the Unatana Tokef, it's good to practice saying too. You really sound like you know what's going on. Unatana Tokef, try say it, it's fun to say. Unatana Tokef. There you go, great. So actually in 2 weeks, we're gonna look more closely at the entire text of the Unatana Tokef. It's not that long, but in our Machzor, they've spread it out over pages and pages. It doesn't need to be. It is arguably the most important and quintessential prayer of the entire High Holy Days. So we say it both on Rosh Hashanah and on Yom Kippur. This is just the part of the Unatana Tokef that talks about these books of the Book of Life and the Book of Death. We'll look at it in a broader, in 2 weeks from now, but this is from that. So somebody want to read text number 2, the one from the Unatana Tokef? Come on, Erwin. And then Ro, you can read the last one, okay? No, Erwin, you read this one. There is a 5th. This is especially good for you.
It is true, you are the judge and plaintiff, counselor and witness. You inscribe and seal, you record and recount. You remember all that we have forgotten. You open the book of records and it speaks for itself. In it lies each person's insignia.
Thank you. So especially Erwin, Judge Rosen, what part of this passage strikes you? Doesn't have to be just you, everybody. What strikes you? There's a lot of things in here. We could just do this passage for an hour, but. A lot of gray. Yeah. into boxes. Yeah. Thank you. That's great. So I just want to acknowledge that we're into the realm of prayer as opposed to philosophy, and how we understand the forces of the universe and how they impact us. And those forces of the universe, some of us might call that God, but not everybody might call that God. But I love how this offers that there is some kind of objective recording, book, fact that impacts have been made, and that there is, for example, a judge in this, right? A judge, how we can look at something judgmental, or we can look at judge as the force that delivers the consequence, the laws perhaps of natural consequences. Our behaviors, our speech, our actions have consequences. And there's an objective way in which there is an impact there. Whether we think it's fair or we think it's right or whatever, it happens, and there is an objective way in which that gets measured. I love this image, and so if you want to call it God that is meting out these consequences, or the law of natural consequences, it doesn't matter to me. I find it meaningful to call it God, but I think it's a fascinating way of sort of tying in this notion of teshuvah and how it is that we are in this world. But here, no, it also says there's the plaintiff. So what's the plaintiff in a court case? Who's the plaintiff? The person that's making the claim, right? The person that's been damaged, or the person that doesn't think it's fair. I love this notion, right? So God, or however way you want to understand it, right? It is God that is offended by whatever it is that or is making the complaint, right? On behalf of the world. And then we have the counselor, right? There's also the counselor who can advise us, sees both sides, as Erwin says, right? That not the black and white doesn't put us in a box, right? Or who is leading the proceedings. And then the witness, right? So this is what it says, right? Where does it say, right? It's true that you are the judge, the plaintiff, the counselor, and the witness. So this notion that we're never alone. Maybe it can make us a little paranoid, like, somebody's always watching over us, but it can also can keep us on our toes, and also can make us feel like, that we're interconnected with all the world. But we know that our actions and our speech just don't go then out into the world, just don't, it's not like the person that falls and there's nobody there to record it. What's the thing in the forest, right? That our lives have an impact. Our actions and speech make an impact. And sometimes, as I said before, we know what the impact is, but far, far often we don't. We don't know the impact. But whether we do or whether we don't, it's actually not relevant. It's sort of like a pebble dropped in the water. Everything reverberates. So the whole kick the cat syndrome, right? Somebody hurts somebody else, somebody hurts somebody else, somebody hurts somebody else, and you go home and you kick the cat. Cat has no idea why this, right? So whether or not we believe in God, or we understand God as this force in the universe, or whatever form that may take, we still understand that our actions reverberate beyond ourselves in so many ways. So, Ro, can you read the last text, this last Talmudic text, which I think is just so beautiful? I can help you with the names. The first one is Rabbi Hanania.
Rabbi Hanania bar Papa asked Rabbi Samuel bar Nachman, "What is the meaning of the verse? As for me, I will offer my prayer unto you in an acceptable time." He replied, "The gates of prayer are sometimes open and sometimes closed, but the gates of repentance are always open." Midrash Rabbah Devarim.
Thank you. Remember, the word repentance is a lousy translation for teshuvah. That's what we're really talking about here, teshuvah. I should have fixed that, but I didn't. Right, so as I mentioned before, Yom Kippur has its own power, regardless of whether we're in shul praying or whatever it is that we're doing on Yom Kippur. And so often, isn't it true, we sit in synagogue and we wonder, what are we doing here, right? We think about, what do I really believe about prayer, its impact? Does it have an impact? Do I know how to pray? Am I doing this right? Is there a right way? What do I think about this? These are thoughts that cross all of our minds. And I love this text because what it includes and what it says is that teshuvah completely rises above any prayer experience. Prayer moments come in and out. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel say that if you're sitting in shul for hours and you get a couple of moments, and believe me, this guy's an expert, a couple of moments of real prayer, it's been a good day. And so I think what this text does is it speaks to the purpose of prayer to begin with, which is to impact our lives and to create change, right? My teacher, Rabbi Marshall Meyer, Zichrono Livracha, used to say, you know, if you walk out of this service, he used to say this about a Friday night service, and nothing's different, then you've wasted your time. Right? The purpose of prayer is to move the needle for our lives, and all the more so on Rosh Hashanah, and even all the more so on Yom Kippur. So while there is a yearly due date on our teshuvah, it's always the 9th of Tishrei or October 5th, sometime around 7:15 on Yom Kippur, we also know that these gates of teshuvah, these gates of change, transformation, realignment, they're always open to us. That's what this text is about. It's always there for us, 365 days a year, 24/7, whether we're in shul or not. But if you're not, we miss you, believe me. So Shana Tova Tikatevu, may you be written and may you be sealed for life and for goodness, and Shabbat Shalom. So these texts are fun, aren't they? Seth's been with us, like Ben, who's like been with us, because we've been doing this every week this month. We're building our sort of teshuvah briefcase and understanding. So let's we're going to do the Psalm for Elul. That is on page 358. We do this all month and throughout the days of awe. Achad sha'alti.
Achad sha'alti med Adonai. Achad sha'alti med Adonai. Arakesh. Shiti med Adonai. Kol yamei chayai. Lagazot ben Noam Adonai. Lagazot ben Noam Adonai. Achad sha'alti med Adonai utavakesh. Achad sha'alti med Adonai utavakesh.
Let's turn to page 282 and rise for Aleinu. Traditional. Aleinu l'shabeach l'Adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כמשפחות האדמה, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומורדים לפני מלך
Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
You can be seated. Oh, may all created in your image become one in spirit and one in friendship, forever united in your service, and then your realm shall be established on earth, and the word of your prophet fulfilled. Adonai will reign forever and ever. 287.
V'nema v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz. Vayom hahu li'eh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
Page 294, in which we recall those who gave us life, walked with us, held our hands while they walked this earth, taught us, but who are no longer with us. So if I call your name, I invite you to please rise in place in honor of their memory. Toby Rosen. How many years, Irwin? Wow. Is there anyone else who is in mourning or who is observing a yard site? I invite you to please rise and offer their name. Or if you are in solidarity and it is your custom to rise for the Mourner's Kaddish, I invite you to do so as we recite this on page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Ve'alma divrach erutei v'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechon u'vyomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael. V'agala u'bizman kariv imru.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach Le'olam Alamei Amaya.
Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal Shmei dekudesha
Brechu.
Leila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Osei shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen.
Ose shalom bimromav uyase shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'himeru. Amen.
May your memory always be a blessing. And how long was she a member of the synagogue? She still haunts the place. Okay. Wonderful. Laura, you get to do announcements. Yes? Yes. But ad lib as much as you want, otherwise it can get pretty dull.
Okay. So I'm mostly going to be reading. Thank you, Seth, for ensuring our service was live streamed to all at home. And anyone can easily be a part of our tech crew. Offer the mitzvah of bringing TBE to those at home.
And to my mother.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. By manning our live streams equipment. Talk to Seth Lubin for details. Please see the newsletter for other volunteer and mitzvah opportunities to strengthen our community and get involved. Or just ask Tom or Rabbi at the Oneg.
Hey, Ro and Jesse, since you guys live close by, do you think you might spend 5 minutes with Seth after the service and he can teach you how to do it? So maybe if he's not able to, you might stop by and know how to magically push the buttons? That would be great. Can't hear you. Oh, anybody can be here? Ro, that would be awesome. You know, just turn it on at 5 to 8. You're amazing. Thank you. Jesse, you learn too. Thank you.
And since we're talking about volunteering, I'll put in a plug for the food pantry on Thursday evenings at 5 o'clock. Yeah, doors open at 5:30. Don't forget that religious school begins this Sunday, September 11th at 9:30. Parents are invited to schmooze over coffee and tea on the temple lawn. A reminder, Teruma pledges for 2022-23 were due July 1st. If you haven't already, please register now for High Holy Day services. Registration is required for all again this year, and no one will gain admission without registration and authorization. The link to register is on the homepage of our website.
Yeah, this is really important because even if you're a member in good standing, we need to count you and know when you're coming so we know how many non-members we can let in because we've limited the amount of people we're letting in the building because of COVID. So.
Okay. Memorialize your loved ones in our 2022 Yitzker Book of Remembrance. Follow the links in our weekly. Greeting our members is a crucial way in which our services run smoothly. Everyone feels valued and welcome, and we create a sacred space for the holidays. Please consider accepting one or more shifts as an usher for our high holidays. Shifts are generally between 1 to 2 hours. Follow the link in the weekly. Celebrate Hanukkah with the New Jersey Devils. Join your fellow congregants at the New Jersey Devils Hanukkah Hockey Night on Thursday, December 15th, as the Devils take on the Philadelphia Flyers. Reserve your tickets by this Sunday, September 11th. Again, details are in the weekly. Our next wine and cheese pre-neg will be on Friday, September 16th.
That's a week from tonight.
Week, yeah. At services that follow, we'll be observing Leadership Shabbat. Tat Shabbat? Does anybody know about Tat
It's
Shabbat?
a leadership if you're on the board or you have been on the board. Please come because this is an opportunity for everybody to meet your leaders and thank those who have offered their time.
Okay, and in preparation for the high holidays, we'll watch and discuss the documentary Tell Me Who I Am, a fascinating story about trust, trauma, memory, identity, forgiveness, and reconciliation. Following the film, Cantor Jeff will lead the Silikot prayers as we transition to our white Torah mantles.
Cantor Jeff is a huge treat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who was here was anybody here last weekend? So he's not here every week. He's only here once, maybe twice a month, and B'nai Mitzvah mornings. But when he's here, definitely try to catch him. He's here first Fridays. He's really an incredible musician. Plus, he also plays the mandolin. So between when Jeff and Cantor Jeff and Ben, it's a treat. He's the real deal.
Yeah.
And he's a world-class klezmer musician. So
He doesn't just play guitar a little bit. He's like, he really plays.
he doesn't futz around.
Yes.
Okay. So
He does, but not, he futzes, but very well.
In a nice way.
Yeah, professionally. Yeah.
Slikot is Saturday, September 17th at 6:30 p.m. Our High Holy Day cantorial soloist, Hadar Ahuvia, has created a playlist to help familiarize you with the melodies you'll be hearing at our High Holy Day services. Follow the link in the weekly and the newsletter. Temple Beth-El is participating in 2 important local street fairs. Please come and show your TBE spirit, and even better, stay for an hour to, thank you, human, not to man, but to human our tent and talk up our temple. The All About Downtown Street Fair will be on Saturday, September 17th from 12 to 8. And the Jersey City Educational Fair will be on Saturday, September 24th from 10 to 1 in Hamilton Park. Follow the links in the weekly to sign up for a shift. This is a lot. Should I keep going? Okay.
Yeah.
Chilltown Boogie is a historical opera telling the history of Jersey City in 5 stories and being performed at 5 locations across the city. The final story is about and will be performed at Temple Beth-El. That's cool. The Choice, 1892, features the rising star of the Jewish progressive movement, Rabbi Schweitzer, on the importance of building a new temple in Jersey City for the growing community of Jewish immigrants. That's Sunday, October 2nd at 6:30 p.m. It's free. That sounds good. Okay. Introduction to Judaism, a 20-week class taught by Rabbi Morit, begins Wednesday, November 2nd. And finally, Change the World One Meal at a Time with 1 hour out of your week. Oh, I've got ahead of things. This is about the food pantry. Help feed our hungry and homeless neighbors at our food pantry. Food pantry has moved to Thursdays. Don't have an hour? Help feed them with a donation for the food we buy. Details on the website, or just show up on Thursday. You'll be glad you did. Actually, don't just show up on Thursday. There's a sign up.
It's on the weekly. It's in the weekly, and it's, yeah.
Go to the weekly
And
and see the
so
sign up,
what we're going to be doing again this year, what we've done for the last many years, is that we're going to be providing empty paper bags on Rosh Hashanah. Each will have stapled to it a shopping list for the food pantry, and we're hoping that everybody comes back with that bag filled with groceries to help feed our homeless and hungry and food insecure neighbors. We fast voluntarily on Yom Kippur. We should take the money that we would have spent on groceries, at least that much, and fill that shopping bag with groceries for the people who don't have the luxury of choosing to fast. Sometimes they have to fast because they just don't have food to eat. So, so take your food, take your grocery money from Yom Kippur and put them in that grocery bag. Pick up your bags on Rosh Hashanah. Closing the service on page 322. As hoarse as I am, but we'll do it anyway. Yum bum 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 ba da 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 da. Yum bum 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 ba da 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 da. Yum ba da dum bum bum bum. Ya da dum da ya da dum 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 dum. Ein Keloheinu, ein Kadonenu, ein Kemalkenu. Ya da da 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 da. Yada da da yada da, ein kemoshienu, mi kelohenu, mi kadonenu, mi kemalkenu. Yada da 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 yada da yada da 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 da. Yada da da yada da, ein kemoshienu, no del Elohenu, no del Adonenu. No del Malkenu, yada da 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 yada da da yada da. No del Moshienu, Baruch Elohenu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkenu, yada da yada da yada da yada da yada da. Baruch Moshienu. Atahu Elohenu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkenu, yada da yada da yada da 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 yada da yada da Atahu Moshienu, yada da yada da yada da yada da yada da Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz Shabbat shalom. Oh, it's good. Yeah, where'd you get this one? Whole Foods? All right. Heard it here first. Welcome. And please join us for the oneg in the back. Thank you, Laura. No, it's always good to see you. I'm kind of like not on